Hey guys, and welcome to today's episode of The Dialogue. Once again, we are on with another full couple minutes of content for you, and I hope that it is inspiration. As you know, our mantra on this show is that we are healing souls one conversation at a time. So it is my hope that if anything on this podcast or this episode that was said was in any way enlightening for you or empowering, please share this with someone else. It is so important that we understand at the tip top of 2024 that we are walking through this year with less baggage, less mental baggage, and just unnecessary things that keep us from happiness, purpose, and our destiny. And of course, the Lord. So today I want to talk about correcting mistakes. For some reason, a couple seconds ago, I was just kind of like relaxing in a meditative stage, and this just actually came to me as I just relax. As many as you know, I do talk about purpose and identity, and I also talk about healing. And I think it is so important for anybody to understand that a lot of times when we are healing, we ourselves have not just been afflicted by other people, we have caused afflictions to others as well. And so while we are on our journey of healing, it is so important that we understand that we want people to apologize to us, to be compassionate to us, and to do those things. But we also need to be an extension of those if we have done anything wrong to anybody. So, of course, I'm going to take this and I'm just going to digest on it. And I'm just going to let God just explain what he would have you to know. So today we're talking about correcting mistakes. And I talk to so many people. So many people as a counselor and just a person that has a natural knack just for being a people person. I get an opportunity to talk to so many people. The interesting part is that while I'm talking to them, they will be divulging personal information from their lives and or lives of other people. And because a lot of times it relates to them. And so when we look at different scenarios and situations, when we as people are growing and we're maturing, we're changing, evolving, transforming, however you may put it, there will be mistakes along the way. Some of the decisions that we made, we feel as though I shouldn't have did that. But sometimes you don't have all the pieces to the puzzle or the necessary knowledge or wisdom to make a different decision. Sometimes decisions are based off of desperation. Sometimes they're based off of guilt, whatever it may be. And then that decision leads to a mistake. It ends up coming out later. Oh, I shouldn't have did that. Maybe that wasn't the right person that I should have told my business to. Maybe this person was not the best friend that I thought they were. Maybe I shouldn't have moved to this city or state. Whatever it may be, you start to realize that it's a mistake. And so what happens is instead of us just being like, okay, I forgive myself, or I forgive myself for what I did to the other person, we will continue to lull in it, try to make it right, try and make it fit, try to make everything be something that is not, instead of just saying, I made a mistake and I need to recorrect or redirect myself. It's literally that easy. It's easy to say it, but sometimes when you make mistakes against other people, it is harder to get them to forgive you. I think that this is one of the main reasons that we have so many people with mental issues, because that person, if you think about it, no matter what they did, whether it was over and over and over and over, it was a mistake. I am really in a time of maturity, and I'm going to tell you one of the areas that I'm really maturing in. I do talk to a lot of women. I counsel and talk to a lot of women, and they deal with a lot of men that are repeat offenders in regards to cheating and different things that they're doing. And instead of the woman just saying instantly, okay, I made a mistake, maybe this person's not the person that I should be with, they will continue to be with that person and make them pay over and over and over, whether it's buying gifts, whether it's taking them to expensive restaurants, whether it's making them feel like a queen, not in a sense of that person changing or transforming, but just so they could feel like that person is their pedestal because the mistake they made towards them made them feel so low. It made the woman feel so low. So now sometimes for a woman to feel better about herself, she has to demean other people, make other people feel low, degrade them, and make them feel like trash because inwardly she really feels like that. And instead of that woman just really acknowledging, when this happened to me, I should have just walked away instead of stayed, they will make hell for everybody else, meaning everybody else will not have any peace. So if a person makes a mistake against you, you can rewrite your whole entire situation by taking the mature route. You don't have to sit and play the victim for years and years to come. Because one thing that I'm noticing is that everybody's going to do something to somebody in their life that that person feels like shouldn't have been done to them, because nobody's perfect. Nobody is without fault. And nobody is without accountability. Now, if you want to take that on yourself or not, that's completely up to you. But those things, those specific things are a part of growth. If you're making a mistake, then you want to be accountable. And then there can be change that happens, because like they say, when you know better, you do better. For so many people, the whole thing is that they just did not know better. They thought the decision that they made was the best decision. And I think a lot of people would come out of situations faster and get their lives together if they didn't have the dread hanging over them of the mistake that they made. So many people want to make people pay and make them regret and make them feel bad and make them feel like trash about something that they did. It could have been something that was told to them, displayed to them, an example that they took, a role model that taught them the wrong thing to do. Instead of that person just having grace, instead of that person just being nice and understanding and compassionate, like, okay, they really did not know any better, this person will drag them through the mud. I really think that there is something wrong with a person that when they allow a person to make a mistake by them and say they're going to forgive them, but years down the road, they still haven't. They're still holding on to it. But I get it if you're doing that by yourself, because it just may be hard for you to let go. But if you're making a person miserable because of it, you're miserable as well. I guess this podcast is going a completely different way than what I pictured it, but I always tell God to have his way. So we are where we are. I think it's really important for some people to understand that your mental health hinges on the fact of correcting mistakes and trying to be knowledgeable about the mistakes that people make towards you. And that you're not letting the same thing happen over and over and over without conversing about it. Like if someone makes a mistake against you, don't be passive aggressive. Don't do things to try and belittle them that make you feel better about yourself inwardly when they don't even know that you're doing it, because they really don't care. It's a maturity thing when someone makes a mistake. Because I remember years ago, I was talking to this woman on the phone and we were having a conversation about men. And this man had done so much to her. I'm talking about years of emotional abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, and financial abuse. And we were talking about Judas in the Bible and how he had betrayed Jesus, how he betrayed Jesus for money. And then it was an instance where he figured out that what he did was wrong. And so he went back to Jesus. Well, he actually went back to the people that he gave the money to in order to betray Jesus, or the people that gave the money to him. I'm so sorry. So Judas was given money to betray Jesus. And when he got to the point where he understood what he was wrong, he tried to give that money back. Those people were like, okay, it's too late, because what is done is done. And me and this woman had this conversation like, wow, what if Judas would have just went to Jesus and said, hey, I need your forgiveness. I made a mistake. I didn't know what I was really doing, right? Now, we know it was already done and it still worked in the will and the plan of God, because God still worked it out. Jesus was still crucified. He still went to the cross, for the 3 days, was in the tomb, and then he rose. So it still worked out for his good. But what if Judas would have encountered someone with compassion and kindness and love, someone with a forgiving heart? Would he have gone and hung himself? Would he have died the way that he did? Because Peter also denied Jesus. When they were stoning him and doing the things that they were doing to Jesus, Peter denied him. But God could see in Peter's heart that that was just a situation that he was going through. He was afraid at the time, because they asked him, do you know this man? He said no, it was to preserve his own life. And so I think about all different types of scenarios. I think about all different types of things with different people, but like pinpointing accuracy as to the motive behind why a person did what they did. And a lot of times I really try to get to that point, because I think if I can understand, okay, their motive, was it deliberately intentional for them to hurt me, or were they just trying to preserve their life? I think that brings a different context to the situation. Peter was afraid. He was trying to preserve his life. Judas was full of greed. He wanted money. So both of them had a motive as to why they did what they did. But why was Jesus forgiving to Peter and openly acknowledged him when he came back? Like, hey, touch my hand and see that I have these holes in my hands. And he still used Peter. But Judas went and hung himself and he died. So in a bigger picture, I sometimes think, where could I be that person that allows them to see Jesus? Like, yeah, you did me wrong, but God still worked it out. Yeah, you made a big mistake, but God still loves both of us. When do we as people come to the point where we're like, okay, I'm not going to clap back, slap back, read you your cards, embarrass you in front of people because something that you did out of really not knowing that you were actually helping me? So when it comes to correcting his mistakes, of course, you have to assume accountability and responsibility. But some people are not going to be as hard on you as other people are. So it is my prayer that when you decide to accept accountability, that somebody in your life is not as hard on you because they realize that you were in a growing phase. You were in a stage of transition. You were in a stage of, okay, I don't know exactly why I did that. I apologize, but I'll work on it. I'll work on it. I'll work on being better. And the person that the mistake was made towards have to understand you have to let it go for your own mental sanity, for your own mental peace. We can't just go years down the line dragging people through the mud because of mistakes they made because we want them to pay. Because in the end, the longer that you hold on to it and you want them to pay, that's a level of evil that can be greater than the mistake itself. Because sometimes people are suffering in silence. They've made a mistake. They don't know how to apologize. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to fix it. But I think that as we as people try to let our guards down and be vulnerable and work out of a place of a warm heart instead of cold-heartedness, maybe reconciliation can really take place. Maybe two people that actually hated each other can actually come back together and talk out their differences and teach other people how to do it. I mean, we are supposed to be going to people who offend us and let them know, like, okay, you have offended me. Sometimes when I talk to people, they're like, I didn't even know that I did that. Come on, let's just be honest. Let's really get into it. Some people don't even know what they're doing because I believe that the enemy is very strategic in how he chooses things and places people to destroy other people's lives. Sometimes someone was just upset. And they're like, okay, well, whatever. And then the enemy gets in and slips them some type of thought in their mind. And they do it. And it destroys that person's life. But it always amazes me that years down the road, this person doesn't even remember. Like, I don't even remember doing that or saying that. But I am sorry if I did. So as mature adults in 2024, let's work out some of our issues. Let's work out some of our mistakes against each other. Sorry, my daughter is not taking her nap. She's in there watching Coco Melon, so please forgive me. But at the end of the day, if we're going to reconcile, if we're going to have restored relationships, if we're going to have peace of mind, if we're going to have joy and all those good, great things that God said we can have, we have to work on being there for each other and genuinely loving each other and understanding you're a human. Humans make mistakes. We're not robots with calculations put into our database to not make mistakes. Even technology can make mistakes. We just have to be more compassionate, more loving, and more understanding to people that do. And from this, I hope that you get some type of peace. Because I can honestly say I've made a lot of mistakes. I've chosen a lot of bad relationships and friendships. I've made a lot of bad mistakes in regards to career opportunities, working for different companies. Because then once I get in, I see, okay, these people don't have the same motives as me. Their motive is not to help. Their motive is not to try to get people healed, set free, and delivered. They want money. And then I have to retract myself and reprogram my entire life. So mistakes are going to happen. Some doors people go through, they shouldn't have never went through those doors. When they get through the doors, they'll see, okay, this was a mistake. But the good thing about it, and this is the last thing that I want to leave you with, God is never far off from a mistake to redirect you, help you, restore you, and help you get yourself back together and put you with people that will groom you, and not in a bad way, but people that will nurture and love you and give you compassion and help you understand. You wouldn't have did this now back then if you were who you are now back then you grew, you matured, you changed, you transformed, you're different. And we have to give people space to do that. So in 2024, this is like a short little snippet. It was only a couple minutes. And 2024, let's try and work out giving people space to grow. Sometimes you have to let people sit in their mess to actually see that it's mess, because sometimes it's not a play and it's not a joke. People really have to sit where they are to see like, okay, I really messed up. And now I need to recalculate and recalibrate myself. That's not for us to gloat. It's not for us to say, I told you so. No, that's not what it's for. It's for us as people to be compassionate and realize, okay, if I made a mistake, what type of compassion, love, or understanding would I want from a person, and extend grace and love from that place. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of The Dialogue. Please share this with someone, and not a funny type of way, like, oh, you made a mistake. Here go this knowledge. I'm going to give you this wisdom, and this is smack in the face. No, it's more or less like, I want you to be successful and happy, so I'm going to give you the tools and information that you need to redirect your steps if that's what's needed. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Stay tuned for more content, and we'll be back shortly. Bye.